Hello everyone, my name is Amel. I'm 14 years old. I'm writing a high fantasy novel and I'm literally almost done with it. Do not nag at me about it. I promise I will be finishing very, very soon, hopefully. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about world building. So I think a lot of people get caught up in like the world building, and we're actually going to get into that because there's a lot of things that I had to edit because that world building stuff was a lot. I tried to put my seat down, it didn't work. Now, common world building mistakes in fantasy writing. The purpose of this video is to help fantasy authors create immersive worlds that feel real without overwhelming or confusing the readers. Number 1, the info dump avalanche. Mistake. Opening with long blocks of history, lore, or geography before the reader even cares. Why it's a problem? Readers don't have an emotional anchor yet. They need a reason to care before they care about your world's politics. Fix. Introduce world details naturally through character actions, dialogue, and conflict. And I actually have to edit that in my story because I just found this out. An example would be weaving in. Leora dipped her fingers in the fountain. The water burned cold, a reminder of the queen's curse. Info dump. The queen cursed the fountains 50 years ago after losing the war. I mean, come on. You know, you're just putting it straight in, but if you weave it in first with a Leora part, then you can say the queen cursed the fountains 50 years ago after losing the war, right? Or just something like that. And, you know, it makes it sound better. 2. Inconsistent rules. Mistake. Magic, which I'm not using in my story, but if you use it, okay. Magic, politics, or geography change to fit the plot instead of following set rules. Why it's a problem? Breaks immersion. Readers feel cheated. Fix. Define your world's rules early, even if it's just for yourself, and stick to them. Now I'm going to reread that because I didn't really go straight to my brain. Okay, so for example, let's say you have a rule in the world where you're just absolutely unallowed to leave the town, and a character just suddenly leaves the town. You know, that would make sense, especially if they're like going on a quest and they're doing it in the middle of the night. But if, you know, people are just going in and out of the town and, you know, they're just walking through, like, there has to be a reason. Maybe a gate is broken, maybe, you know, an artifact has been altered for them to be able to get through, just something like that. Or maybe you just shouldn't have them walking through at all, because it just ruins the whole entire story and it just messes up everything that we thought was true about it. Okay, 3, overcomplicated names. I'm not changing mine, I don't care how you feel. Mistake. Every place, person, and item has a 14-letter name with apostrophes everywhere. Why it's a problem? Readers can't remember or pronounce them, so they skim. I'm sorry, I'm just learning this. Fix. Use complex names sparingly, balance with simpler names, and give characters nicknames. Okay. Yeah, but if you really want to know how to pronounce my characters' names, or you just don't feel like it, at the back of my book, I have their actual names. So, like, in their language, they have, you know, a weird way to say the name or whatever. But, you know, translated, it's actually really, 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 really simple and generic. But yeah, go to the back of the book if you want to figure it out. Oh no. Now. 4. Generic copy and paste worlds. Mistake. World feels like a reskinned version of medieval Europe with elves, dwarves, and dark lords. Don't do it. Like, my story is completely different. Like, this thing is a whole original. There's literally nothing that you could say reminds you of any other book. Hopefully. Like, literally all characters are new, all races are new, like every single world is new. There's no elves, dwarves, dark lords, nothing like that. Now, why it's a problem? Feels predictable and nothing stands out. I mean, you know the whole story. Like, even avoid using goblins or gnomes or just stuff like that. Like, come up with something new. Now, if you already have what you already have, keep it, but make it new. Like, make it to where people want to read the book and it feels different from like other books with gnomes and other creatures that are used all the time. And fix. So small cultural details and scenes, festivals, gestures, greetings, and food customs. that'll really go a long way once they see that these goblins are actually very respectable. They actually wipe their mouths while they're eating. The festivals are very clean. The gestures are, you know, respectful, and the greetings are also respectful. You know, they're not throwing food at each other or anything like that, like the average goblin would. You know, that'll definitely change up a story really good. 6. Maps that don't match the story, and I actually had a problem with that. Mistake. Geography changes when convenient or distances feel inconsistent. Why it's a problem? Readers notice inconsistencies even subconsciously. Fix. Keep a map for reference while writing, even a simple sketch. So let's say you already have the map down. Like, first I'm gonna say you already have the map, and then I'm gonna say you don't have the map. So let's say you have the map, right? And so you're writing a story, and let's say there's a certain land that's like 100 miles away from another land, and yet the character gets there in a paragraph. In a paragraph. Like, it's not even a close town, it's not even, you know, just a waterfall nearby. No, they're just immediately there. And then when the reader looks at the map, they're like, what? How did they get there? You know? And let's say you don't have a map, right? You have everything placed perfectly, and now you're making your map, and as you're making your map, or after you finish making your map, you add in the story, and you think to yourself, these aren't the right places. Or maybe you notice something like, this place is just a little too far away from that other place. Maybe I should connect it with a different place, and then you have to remake the whole entire map. Don't do it to yourself. Number 7, overloading the reader with fantasy terms. Mistake. Throwing in dozens of made-up words on page 1 with no context. Okay, you need to spread it out. If you're going to throw in a bunch of words, you need to spread it out, okay? Spread it out. Don't just say, I don't even know. Like, I would literally have to write a bunch of nonsense down to get it out, but you know what I mean. Why it's a problem? Reader fatigue, they feel lost and stop caring. Fix. Introduce terms gradually and show their meaning through use. In your first chapter, you don't want to immediately say, on planet, whatever it is. Please don't start your chapter like that. Don't do it. Because now the whole entire world is just already said, and now there's nothing special to tell. And so by the end of the story, you know, there's nothing new, there's no plot, nothing. Like, you need to make sure everything is spaced out. So your beginning should just be, it could be an epilogue, it could be a quick flashback, it could even just be the very start of the story, but you don't want to immediately name the place that they're at until chapter 2 or 3, okay? Keep that in mind. Number 8, ignoring the ordinary. Mistake. Focusing only on the extraordinary elements, magic and battles, and ignoring everyday life. Why it's a problem? Readers can't imagine living there. Fix. Show how people cook, travel, work, and relax in your world. Like, if you really want help with this, read through your story and think to yourself, would I want to live here? You know, some of the stuff, like, especially like the crazy stuff where it's just like really deadly and you can't exist, that stuff, obviously that's meant to be in the story, and of course the character can't imagine living in that kind of setting, but when it comes to them, let's say they're the main character, like, see yourself as the main character. Does your main character even eat? Does your main character cook, travel, work, or relax? Or does the story just immediately start where they're like, I'm gonna save the world, like, you know, that's not really how it works. And at the beginning of the story, it's kind of like that, but it's more like a flashback. I'm not gonna give too much information because then that ruin the whole story. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say after that. But an example of a perfect balance. No infidel. I don't even know what that means. Help. Example of a perfect balance. No info dump with rich culture. The bread was still warm from the oven, flecked with gold leaf like the festival banners strung across the square. Mira, another average name, once again, broke off a piece, then hesitated, breaking bread before the moon rose. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's reread that one entire thing. The bread was still warm from the oven, flecked with gold leaf like the festival banners strung across the square. Mira broke off a piece, then hesitated. Breaking bread before the moon rose was bad luck. The guards were coming. Why would you do that? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. Sometimes I question things. So now I'm gonna take a pause and think about anything else that I would like to say. So let's say you have very intricate character names and you don't know what to do about it and you don't want to delete them. What you could do is inform readers at the very beginning of the book that, you know, to find the correct pronunciations for the names or whatever, is to go to whatever page it is, or to go to like the very end of the story and find it somewhere, because I don't have those pages numbered, so that's kind of sad. But what was I gonna say? You know, I forget a lot of things. Not really, not that much. But yeah. If you can guess what I was gonna say, please tell me. I'm so tired. I literally went to bed at a good time, and I'm so tired. And I was literally laying in bed until 7 a.m. I mean, come on, you have to be kidding me. I can't do this anymore. Like, this is literally made in the same day that I made the other 2 videos, as you can tell. So, yeah, I'm just going to go. Goodbye.